Upon birth, the medical professionals observed an object protruding from the baby's skull. When they realized what they had saw, they were astounded by what they had seen. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. When Sierra and Dustin Yoder found out they were expecting their second child, they were ecstatic. Although their relationship had always been whirlwind, they managed to withstand the storm and were married. After being married, they had Bo, their first child, soon after. Even though first pregnancies are often quite taxing, Sierra and Dustin made sure they did everything correctly the first time around. Sierra was carrying their second child, and they had all the knowledge, expertise, and vitamins she would need for this pregnancy. They had no doubts that the trip would go smoothly and flawlessly, but it was an emotional roller coaster. Since Sierra and Dustin were not fans of surprises, they were eager to learn the baby's gender. When Sierra would remark, "I want a girl I can play dress-up with, who will be a mini-me," Dustin would answer, "My sons and I will dominate the Little League teams." A few weeks later, they had an ultrasound to find out their gender. Regretfully, they would discover something much different from the lovely concepts they had been imagining. Sierra and Dustin grew alarmed when the doctor's demeanor changed to one of concern halfway through the scan. After informing them that they would be expecting a boy, the physicians hurriedly advised them to consult the neurosurgeon in the adjacent room. Sierra's heart sprang into her throat at this, and Dustin threw his arms around her in an instant. He was terrified half to death, but decided it was best not to show it. Why do we need to see a neurosurgeon? No one in particular asked Sierra, and Dustin was too preoccupied to even hear her question. They had just sat down in the office when the doctor announced that there was a problem with the fetus. He identified the child's condition there, encephalocele, a sac-like protrusion of the brain and its covering membranes through a skull hole. Sierra only stared at the doctor despite his best attempts to explain what it meant. Why did this have to happen to her when she'd done everything correctly, including taking her vitamins and exercising? Dustin, who was seated next to her, was too numb to console her as she yelled. The most terrifying element, however, wasn't even this diagnosis, and the doctor was going to address it. As the parents gazed intently into his eyes, the doctor informed them that the kid would not survive and recommended ending his life. After exchanging a few words, Dustin and Sierra decided. But on the day of the abortion, Sierra and Dustin had other ideas, so they called off the procedure that morning. We realized we were headed in the wrong direction when we were unable to even look each other in the eyes. We made the decision to give our kid a chance because we wanted to meet him and be his forever parents. Even if it was only for a few seconds, we didn't even give a damn, Sierra said. In order to cancel the abortion, they called in. After that, they used the remainder of the pregnancy to be ready to say farewell to their cherished child. Then, on Halloween night, Sierra's water broke as the family was getting ready for their costumes. The family hurried to the hospital after she promptly informed Dustin about it. In addition, Dustin called close relatives to inform them that Sierra was in labor and that they needed to be to the hospital right away. When he was going, we wanted everyone to be here. Dustin stated, "We wanted to demonstrate to them how many people loved him." The family intended to bury their kid dressed in a onesie, matching trousers and socks, so they brought these items with them that day. It was neither of them that had anticipated what was about to happen. Shortly after being brought into the operation room, Sierra gave birth to their son, Bentley Ross Yoder. The family's eyes brimmed with tears upon seeing him. They couldn't believe he wouldn't be with them for very long because he was such a cute child. They stared at him non-stop while they held him in their hands. There was an obvious sense of anxiety in the room since everyone believed the youngster was living his final hour. But Bentley's conduct shocked them. They had expected the toddler to be quiet and uninteresting. Like every other infant, he wailed aloud and was highly active. Bo was permitted to hold her sibling as well. "Can we go home with my baby brother?" said the little child, unaware that her sibling might die at any moment. "He is weeping and so hungry. Let's grab him some McDonald's chicken." Everyone in the room was offended by Bo's childish remarks, but in the following minutes, everyone started to doubt her optimism. They had all been expecting something else, but Bentley was still breathing and crying. Each of them wondered, Would he stop the next minute or the one after that? Family members alternated for hours, giving the youngster heartfelt farewells. But even after 36 hours, all they could see was Bentley's apparent well-being. Even though they were ready for a funeral and none of them knew what to do, they couldn't help but feel a surge of optimism when the tiny child started breathing again after so many hours. He was given hospice care and sent home with his family, per the physician's arrangements. After returning home, Dustin and Sierra clung to their tiny glimmer of optimism and prayed that the universe wasn't playing a cruel joke on them. After several months, Bentley was still doing well. Like any other youngster, he was eating, playing, crying, and engaging in all cognitive activities. His parents started searching for ways to treat the protrusion outside of his skull, since they were willing to do anything it took to offer their son a better life at this point. They finally arrived at Boston Children's Hospital after much investigation. They were informed that Bentley's skull might be able to be expanded in order to accommodate the brain. They were prepared to do whatever it took to rescue their little baby, and this was the finest advice they had been given thus far. Following careful planning and investigation, a date for the procedure was shortly selected. Would the physician's plans come to pass, though? From the time we started our investigation until the day of the procedure, we were rather nervous. Though we had many different ideas, we were encouraged by the knowledge that our son was a warrior and had overcome all obstacles. "Our strength was Bentley," said Dustin. Family members gathered in the waiting area while the boy's surgeon worked on him. As they prayed the kid would survive, they all clasped hands. In order to relocate Bentley's brain back inside his skull, the doctors had to remove fluid from his skull. The remaining bones were subsequently utilized to seal the opening and reassemble the skull. Thankfully, the efforts of all did not go unrewarded. The top surgeon came out to tell the family that the procedure went well 5 hours later. The physicians had warned them there may be issues, so while the family was thrilled, they were also nervous. However, there was no cause for concern. Little Bentley woke up hours after the procedure and glanced at each one of them. His gorgeous, brilliant eyes brimmed with vitality. It appeared as though nothing had happened to him. "Why are you all gazing at me?" he seemed to ask as he lay there staring at us. "The view was breathtaking," Sierra chuckled. Bentley was released after a few weeks and returned home to be with his family. They made several trips back to the hospital for examinations and care. Now that a few months have gone by, Bentley, who is no longer so little, is doing well. The youngster is still healing at a remarkable pace. Even though his parents are aware that he may face some health issues as he develops, they are optimistic about his future and are moving forward little by little. Bentley's battle for survival from the womb serves as their biggest source of motivation, and they have no doubt that he will continue to fight. Even at their worst moments, he offered his family optimism, and now they are all supporting and loving him unconditionally and holding out faith that things will turn around. She never stops expressing, "We are so happy we took a risk on Sierra. He is simply so adorable that there are moments when I weep because I feel like I might have missed out on all of this. He is adored by everyone who sees him." When was the last time you found yourself in a desperate circumstance? How did you respond? Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.